I hold in my hands what might be the single most valuable document in the history of marketing, of fitness marketing. This is the behind the scenes of what were the most clickable headlines with men's health, women's health, prevention magazines. I'm going to tell you exactly what the formulas were. I'm going to tell you exactly what their best headlines are. These are the types of things that you can use in your content to generate engagement, to get more people to click and watch your stuff. These are the types of things that absolutely you could put on sales pages, on application pages, and this is based on real data, which is the really exciting part. I'll give you the history. A number of years back, I hired the editor-in-chief, or the ex-editor-in-chief from Rodale Publishing. Rodale Publishing fire sold to Host, but Rodale was in charge of Men's Health, Women's Health, Prevention, and Runner's World, amongst many other publications. Hundreds of millions of views online, tens of millions of magazines distributed, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, magazine publishers ever in the history of the health and fitness space. And this person, who I hired to work for us, was in charge at one point of all of their content start to finish, which means that he saw all of their numbers, he saw all of their tests, and he knew exactly what worked and what didn't work. And over the course of him working with us, he shared it all with me. So I want to share it with you. These examples, there's examples for young guys that really attracts young guys. There's examples that really attract kind of dads, like 30 to 50-year-old men. And then there's examples that really attract women in their 30s, in their 40s, and in their 50s. And as you'll see, these are formulaic. So I'm going to share with you the exact headline from these articles, but I'm also going to talk to you about the formula. And while these are headlines of articles, keep in mind that these are lines that you could use anywhere, basically to generate attention, to grab somebody in this very overwhelming, oversaturated attention economy that we live in. So pick and choose which of these work for you and your audiences, and you can use multiple of them. But the best thing that you can do actually in advertising and content writing is to collect what's called a swipe file, which is basically a file of just high performing stuff that you can pull from. The secret that a lot of writers won't tell you, that a lot of advertisers won't tell you, is that actually very little of what they create is completely from scratch. They don't sit there in front of a computer or in front of a notebook and just say, what magic am I going to create today? No, they steal from things that have already worked. And I do this a lot. One of the reasons that I try to read fiction, and one of the reasons that I try to read more perhaps obscure books, or at least books that not a lot of business writers are reading. Like, a lot of business writers read business books. Well, there's not a lot of creative ideas and ways to communicate ideas when all you read are books in that one genre. And so what I try to do is I try to read a lot of fiction also because I enjoy fiction. And I highlight and I pull out great lines of how to describe things from these fiction novels. And then I bring that into my writing in new ways. And in some cases where I'm bringing the exact line and I attribute it, but sometimes I make it my own, and that's perfectly okay to do. So try to, if any of these resonate with you, this is probably one of those episodes you're going to want to go back and listen through a few times. Listen to it now wherever you're at, if you're going for a walk or something. But then you might want to listen to this again with a pen and paper and actually write down these formulas and write down these examples. And then you'll start to see how you can just sub in your own words in a lot of these places and start to make these yours. And when you collect this swipe file, the really cool thing is now you own that swipe file, and every time you see somebody else that creates, say, a piece of content, or somebody else in your space that maybe is doing really well and is selling a lot of stuff, you can go through the material and be like, oh, there's that line there. Oh, there's that line there that really grabbed me, and add that to your swipe file. Or the recommendation that I give to a lot of people is whatever your audience is, whoever you sell to, look at the best-selling books that people write for that audience. Now, the language that they use might make you cringe. You can decide to what level, to what extent you feel comfortable with here. But the reason that they're doing that language is quite simple. They've tested it and it works best. That does not necessarily mean that you have to use that. It certainly doesn't mean that you have to use that. It doesn't mean that you should use that. It's a matter of your comfort level. But and that's going to be the case with this stuff too. Some of the stuff that I'm about to read you might be a little bit cringe. And that's cool. See how you feel. Gauge yourself. But also step outside of yourself and think about this from somebody who is not somebody who works perhaps in the fitness industry and thinks about the stuff all day, every single day. Like, that's who you're selling to. And the reality of it is, if you don't capture their attention, somebody else will, who maybe is willing to use these words and will do a worse job than you or do it with less integrity. So, with that having been said, is it actually more reasonable for you to perhaps use some of these cringeworthy words like lean, like tone, or whatever, that you know connect, but you also know all of the nuances why perhaps these lines are not the best lines to use? Well, somebody else is still going to use them. And that somebody else may not know or appreciate the nuances. And somebody then might hire from them and not from you because they're willing to use those words. So keep all of these things in mind and figure out where you land on the spectrum. And there's no right or wrong. But I think it's an important conversation to have. So let me go over the first one. And again, these are the best headlines that have ever worked from across men's health, women's health, prevention, and runner's world, from the time when they could test their headlines or not. Because basically once they started doing digital content, then they could test the headlines. When they were doing magazines, they could test it, but not to the same extent. So the first one, the headline is, "Lose your spare tire with just 2 exercises." It's a really simple formula, okay? The imperative is lose your whatever, and then add just enough detail to suggest that you're offering some sort of new or surprising information. So, lose your spare tire. Okay, spare tire, you're going to lose some extra weight, cool, with just 2 exercises. Wait, what? I only have to do 2 exercises? That's not what I've been told. I need to click. Boom, 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 boom. You see how that works. You could say, lose your belly. You could say, sculpt your abs. You could say, build your arms. You could say, tone your butt. You could literally just choose the same 2 exercises and create a piece of content that's lose your belly with just 2 exercises, sculpt your abs with just 2 exercises, build your arms with just 2 exercises, and all of them would crush. So, this idea is very simple, and I hope that you see immediately with the first one how you can use just this simple formulaic approach of lose your whatever somebody doesn't want to have with some sort of surprising information. Really, really simple. These are book covers, these are book titles, these are everything like that, right? So the second most clicked fitness story in menshealth.com history had this title: 10 exercises that burn more calories than running. This is one that actually probably isn't surprising. Like people who work in fitness probably wouldn't click on this because we're like, yeah, of course, running is actually not a great way to burn calories. Running is a great way to be healthy and get healthy, but it's not actually a great way to lose fat. And in particular, the better that you get at running, actually the worse of a fat burning exercise it is, because basically our body burns fat when we do things that are inefficient, and the better we get at running, the more efficient that we get. And so if you're like me and you run like a walrus out of water, like a complete fool, it's probably actually not that bad of a calorie burning exercise. But once you get to be a good runner and you're actually efficient and you can run well, it actually becomes pretty shit at burning calories. Doesn't mean it's bad exercise. There's tremendous value to it. But still, there's this idea in the general zeitgeist of information that running is a fantastic fat-burning exercise. Well, this article, I guess, opposes that. I don't know. I didn't even read the article. But a couple similar headlines that worked really well for men's health use the same formula. 3 workouts that burn more calories than running. So you see how you can literally just like, once you find a hook, you could create an entire Instagram account of just things that work better than running. And that Instagram account would crush. It could be your entire online persona is just shit that works better than running.com. And like probably do really well. 3 workouts that burn more calories than a 3-mile run. Okay, now we'll get fancy. What about 2 workouts that work better than a 1-mile run? What about 4 workouts that work better than a 10-mile run? This is not complicated, people. 8 push-up routines that are better than AMRAP. This 20-minute Tabata workout beats an hour on the treadmill. Now, what's interesting about this is that, Tabata actually is not 20 minutes. Like, we know that. It's 4 minutes. But the title still works because most people don't know that. And then you can explain that or just not use this example. Using this exact same formula, 10 ab exercises better than crunches. 30-minute walking workouts that burn more calories than a yoga class. Do you see how you can adjust this to different populations based off of who you're speaking to? It's the exact same formula. It works equally well amongst broad audiences of men and women, and it also promises alternatives to people who don't want to run or like do whatever that type of workout is. So it's basically saying, if you don't like this thing, here's an alternative that you might like. Pretty simple, right? I don't know, right, Len? Like this is not complicated.
I love it.
But the idea is to not wake up in the morning with a blank piece of paper and say, what magic am I going to create? It's to collect this list, this collection of material, and let that generate your ideas. Like, if I say to you, hey, give me 2 workouts that are better than running, you probably can give me 10. If I were to ask you to give me a ab exercise that's better than crunches, you could probably give me 10. So you start at the end with the headline, and then you create the content based off of it. Sorry, Ray.
I like that they're formulaic because for even the most basic coach, there's a lot to pull from to throw into that formula. And the better you know your market, the easier these formulas are to pull off. Because I can think of 10 things very quickly that moms over 30 do not want to do in terms of exercise. Yep. And in a lot of cases, ironically, a lot of those things are gym-related things. So for me to be able to say 4 exercises that are better than a gym workout, right? Or 6 types of cardio that are better than a treadmill, or 2 types of cardio that are better than a treadmill. Like, I have a very clear understanding of what my population absolutely hates to do. So working backwards from a list of things that I know that they hate, that they talk to me about all the time, and just working in reverse is almost an exponential amount of headlines that can be developed from this formula if you have any clue as to what your demographic is not the right word, what your population doesn't like.
Yeah. So what does your population not like to do? Do they not like to run on the treadmill? Do they not like to lift weights? Right? What are better things that they can do? Flip it into this formula. Right? Moving on to the next example here, there's a magic word that Rodale figured out that you can always get lots of clicks with what they call advice readers, basically like interested readers looking for advice. You can always get a ton of clicks when you use the two words every day. Now, there's a difference between every day as one word and every day as two words. The space between every and day matters. Every day as one word is an adjective that precedes a noun. It's just that the thing you're describing is commonplace or ordinary. Like, here's my everyday dishes. Here's my everyday cup. Whatever, right? It doesn't actually mean that you use them every day. It just means that they're the default option. Every day, two words, on the other hand, means something that happens or should happen every single day. So there's a big difference between every day as one word and every day as two words. 3 exercises you should do every day. All of these examples use every day as two words. As long as it sounds easy and simple, so the way that this framework works is something you should do every day as long as it sounds simple and easy. Because what the response that you want from the reader, from the person consuming it is, I could definitely do that every day. We are in this fitness environment where we're made to believe that every single thing is so completely complicated. And it's made to sound that way because when you overcomplicate information, it makes people feel like they need to hire somebody or buy something in order to solve that problem. And I know a lot about fitness training, the same as I know a lot about selling books. That's just two worlds that I've spent a tremendous amount of time in. And I can tell you that there's a lot of similarities in that the book selling business basically needs to continue to come out with new books, even though every major problem has already been solved by books. Yes, I'm writing a book. I realize how ridiculous this sounds. But the truth is that what a lot of booksellers tend to do is the same as what a lot of fitness people tend to do, which is tell you that everything that you used to know is no longer true or wrong for some reason because there's been new information that surfaced, which is bullshit. And so, in order to achieve, you now need to buy this new thing from me. Because in order to have a business, you got to keep selling new stuff. You can't just sell somebody a book that tells them how to do something and be like, all right, you're good. I'm going to find somebody else now. No, you need to continue selling new things to people. And so this effect has had, the effect that this has had on people is it's basically just confused them and made them feel like things are much more complicated than they are. And it's almost a breath of fresh air to feel like something is simple and easy, right? So this idea of stuff you should do every day works pretty broad against men and women, young and old, beginner and experienced. Like it's just like kind of a global thing for humans that we like things that are simple and easy. But you can also easily make it specific to a targeted audience. So a few more examples. 3 exercises older adults should do every day. 3 exercises busy moms should do every day. 2 exercises busy moms every day. 1 simple thing a busy mom can do to get abs every single day. Whatever, right? You can continue to play with this as much as you want. 3 exercises serious bodybuilders should do every day. The 1 exercise you should do before every workout. The 1 stretch you should do after every workout. And so on, and so on, and so on. The 1 stretch every 40-year-old woman should do after every workout. The 1 stretch every busy mom should do when they wake up in the morning. The whatever, right? When?
I like the level of seriousness and how it increased for bodybuilder. You say that the combination of the words serious and should. If you're serious about this, you should do this, as opposed to the previous ones, which are fairly suggestive. three things you could do, but three things every serious bodybuilder should do every day.
Or must do every day. Imagine if I said must
yes,
do every day.
Yes.
Three exercises serious bodybuilders must do every day.
Because it puts you, it's, I can't remember your acronym, John, but the acronym that you used in Vironomics to indicate that people want a certain amount of notoriety for what they post or publish or interact with on social media. It plays
IAF.
Triple IAF. It plays right into that because I'm serious. And because I'm a serious bodybuilder, I'm going to share this piece of content that I saw that explained what people who are serious like me, not you jackasses who do it casually. I want to show everyone how serious bodybuilders think about that. And I support this statement that these are three things that a serious person like me should do every day. Catch up, punks.
Catch up, yo.
Yeah.
Don't be tripping.
I like the insinuation of how much more important I am than you because I'm serious about this shit and I need to share it with everybody, all you players and playettes out there. I like that. That's catchy. That sticks out to me.
So the next headline formula is one that really does well with male audiences. Here's an example of it, and then I'll tell you kind of the formula. Normal size guys who are freakishly strong tell you how they did it. 6 guys with ripped abs tell you why it's not worth it. 6 insanely fit men tell you one thing they do every day. So the formula here should be pretty clear by now, but it's a type of person, and then it's some sort of attribute that you think that somebody else wants, and then it's tell you how they do it or tell you how they did it. A few more examples. 5 guys who wake up at 4 a.m. every morning tell you how they do it. The burpee workout that Special Forces soldiers use to get insanely fit. What Men's Health would actually do is they would sit down and come out with just a series of these headlines based off of this formula, and then they would assign or write stories about them. So they didn't have the story first. They figured out the headline and the hook, and then they would write the story of it. The key to the success of this headline is understanding what the audience is actually curious about. And so this actually fits really well if you're pretty well connected to what's going on right now. What is having a cultural moment right now? Ripped guy who sits in an ice bath tells you why he would never do it again. Because ice baths are stupid. According to Jonathan Goodman. But whatever is hot right now, the ice bath polyamorous vegan community from California. What was the one that we added yesterday? Last week? What was it, Ren? You're muted. I can't hear you.
It was about a pie, wasn't it? Like apple pie or something.
Nah, it wasn't a pie. I mean, apple pie is not even a bad pie. I would say that apple pie is give or take the 3rd best pie on a scale of pies. I mean, it depends what you want to include as a pie. Like, is coconut cream pie a pie, or are we just talking fruit pies? Because they're different rating scales. Regardless of the rating scale, cherry pie is the lowest of all of the pies. Cherry pie is junk. And, like, I'm not saying, like, if somebody were to give me a cherry pie, I wouldn't be upset. Like, I'd still probably eat it, but I'd be like, why would you make cherry pie? Like, you could have made other pies in the same amount of time that you made this cherry pie. Why did you decide on the cherry pie and not the other pie? You went to the store to buy the ingredients or the pie if you bought the pie. They probably had apples, right? They probably had all these other types of pies to buy, and yet you decided on cherry, the least good pie. I'm going to say all of that while I'm shoving that cherry pie in my mouth, because no pie, even cherry pie, is better than no pie, but slightly
better.
Slightly.
I know from my population, menopause is having its moment right now. For the women that I serve, it's a big menopause industry. Oprah just caught on to it, so I would probably go with something. Three female menopause scientists suggest against doing this one thing every day. Something along those lines. Reread the headline to me, because there's something at the end that I didn't quite catch.
Well, the end is tell you how they do it or how tell you
Oh,
how they
okay,
did
okay.
it.
There we go.
And
There we go.
so using this formula, I mean, this is generally a formula for guys because guys are stupid and jealous. But I mean, I don't know whether it would work. Like according to this person who worked for us, who gave us all of this intel, this is something that really connected with male readers. This formula, I don't know whether it will have worked well with female audience, but for menopause, it could be like 3 ripped mums going through menopause tell you how they stay in shape.
Yeah,
something like that.
Let me tell you, it would work.
Yeah,
it worked just fine, buddy.
Yeah. Are we on the final one, or is there one more left too? Oh shit, there's like 5 more left. Okay, I gotta eat lunch. We gotta get through these faster.
Speed it up, John. I'm just gonna be quiet.
Okay. This one is more of a kind of a story thing. And this works. I've seen this play out multiple times. This works really well. So here's a couple examples. I did 50 crunches every day for a month. Here's what happened. I did 30 burpees every day for 15 days. Here's what happened. I did a low-carb diet for 2 weeks. Here's how much weight I lost. I ate oatmeal every morning for a month. Here's what happened. So this approach has a really broad appeal. But one thing that they were really surprised at Rodale was where each story did best. For example, like the burpee story performed best with runners. The stories about crunches and low-carb dieting did really well with like 30-year-old women. And oatmeal apparently worked well with everybody. They were surprised about it too. I mean, Amber kind of like laughed at the oatmeal thing. I kind of did too. But I don't know. Maybe there's something about oatmeal. Try it out. It worked for Rodale. And you can just continue to do this type of stuff. Like, here's a couple other examples that worked well for them. I took squat breaks at work every day for a month. Here's what happened. I tried foam rolling every day for a month. Here's what happened. And they actually, once the oatmeal thing like took off and they were surprised by it, Rodale basically like tried a whole bunch of other stuff with oatmeal. And they did not work as well. And this is where, like, the same article, the same story with different headline, the same appeal, the same marketing, whatever, with different headlines, just by the way that the words are structured or tweaked, can actually make a really, really big difference. And here's a couple examples of the oatmeal thing that didn't work as well. Oatmeal for breakfast every day. I tried it, and this is what happened. 5 things that happened when I ate oatmeal every morning for a month. Like they worked fine, but they were nowhere as close to, I ate oatmeal every morning for a month. Here's what happened. So that's why these formulas are really, really powerful. On to the next one. All right. Next one is more like of a celebrity appeal. You see this all the time where people basically just like make up like what some celebrity did to get into shape. Like every single time that there's some celebrity somewhere in some movie, you have all these 22-year-old influencer types that say, here's the workout I bet so-and-so did to get into shape. It's like, you don't know shit about fuck, man. Come on. But it still works to get clicks. So you can... And if you have some background, of course, as to what this person actually did, then, you know, you can do even better. But this is a... the example from Rodale is, this is how Mama June went from 460 pounds to a size 4. I don't know who Mama June is. Do you know, Amber? Who's Mama June?
She's from our neck of the woods. You don't want to know.
Yeah. It's reality-based individual.
Yeah, it was like the Toddlers and Tiaras, her daughter, some show like that, her daughter being in there. And she's a big mama, but Mama June.
Well, she went from 460 pounds to a size 4, and if you want to know how they did it, then you could find an article on, I don't know, this is probably Women's Health, I guess.
It's from 2000 or something.
But the point, the part of the headline to focus on here are the two words that start it, which is "this is." There's something about these success stories, particularly around figures that have recognizable names, but there's something about these sort of success stories that really grab people in. And so this idea of "this is," it kind of tells readers, hey, I'm going to tell you how this person did this thing and how you can do it too. Really powerful. It's a subtle change, but it does make a difference. Here's a formula that works really well with stories with particularly women in their 30s and 40s and 50s, and also runners or people who self-identify as runners. When? Listen up, my friends. 5 stretches to ease your lower back pain. 5 exercises that show your lower belly who's boss. Yeah, Amber likes that one. 4 exercises to lift your boobs.
That's weird. I'm just
4 thigh exercises that will make your legs tremble.
Okay.
The formula is pretty simple. Some sort of remedy, a problem that it's going to fix, and a benefit that it's going to deliver on. Or a benefit that it's going to deliver on. It's pretty simple, but you can do a lot with this formula. X amount of whatever, stretches, foods to eat, exercises to whatever problem, and again, this goes down to knowing your audience and the words that they use, like the word tremble, the word lower belly, or the words lower belly here are very, very important. 5 exercises that help you smooth out your stomach, is very different than 5 exercises that show your lower belly who's boss. So, actually, I think that's all, because, I don't know, the next one is kind of jerky.
Too cringe for you, huh, John?
Well, none of it's too cringe for me, my friend. It's this idea of exposed. Fitness pictures are fake. That kind of formula. But you really, some of these formulas you have to deliver on the premise very distinctly, and other formulas you have a little bit more flexibility with how you deliver on the premise. Mm-hmm. And so I cut out some of the stuff from this document because some of them, we don't have the resources as a Rodale has, as Men's Health, Women's Health, whatever has. But also, they're a big, faceless publishing company. They're not a personal brand. And as a result, they can get away with...
Oh, yeah. Hey, did you hear about Ren Jones?
Degrees of bullshit.
Did you hear about Ren? I heard he was lifting up Mama June's boobs. I'm unfollowing him.
You hear Mama June had her lower belly reduced and her boobs lifted? Ren Jones made her legs tremble.
Right. And I'm back in insurance again.
And you're back in insurance. Well, you had a good run, my friend.
Hey.
You had a good run.
Lasted a while. It was fun.
Yeah, look, you were on the podcast for longer than all of us thought that you would be. And, I think that's
I got some cool stickers from Amber, so what else? What else does a man need in his career?
What else do you need, my friend? Okay, I'm going to get going because I want to eat some lunch, and I have another call afterwards about Quick Coach. So, my friends, I'm going to recommend another episode. Hope that you enjoyed this. Please share it with somebody else that is trying to make a name for themselves in fitness as well. I'd really appreciate that. I feel like this is one of those episodes that once somebody listens to it, I hope that once you listen to it, you can say, oh, shit, now I know how to frame the hard work that I'm doing. And I hope that it makes a difference for you. So please send this. Try to think of somebody to send it to. Just one person today. I'd really appreciate that. Here's another episode to check out. if you are looking for something else to listen to right now, this is episode 115, and it's called $500,000 a year, 1,400 followers, meet Melissa. This was kind of a cool episode because this actually isn't an episode that I recorded. This was an episode that was sent to me. One of our online trainer mentorship students, Melissa Shevchenko, was interviewed on a different podcast. I think it's the Gym Launch, not the Gym Launch. What is it? The Gym World podcast. She was interviewed on the Gym World podcast. And they just wanted to know what she was doing. And what I think is really cool about this is not even necessarily the impressive numbers that she's doing, but it's the first time that I've actually really heard somebody in her position that has such a beautiful, simple online training business that's as profitable as it is. You know, she does like $450,000 a year in profit. That just talks about exactly how she serves her clients. So it's, yes, it gets into getting the clients and stuff like that, but also how does she actually serve the clients? What does she deliver to them? I really, really enjoy hearing. So that's episode 115. I can't remember the title exactly now. I flipped off the page. What is it? $500,000 a year, 1,400 clients, or 1,400 followers, meet Melissa. God, I fucking butchered that. All right. John needs food. Bye-bye.